All right, guys, welcome back to season 3, the Hawk Vision podcast. I am your host, Chuck Hawkins, here to help you shorten the learning curve on your way to greatness. We have had over 100 interviews of successful entrepreneurs and thought leaders that have graced the show so that we can understand what the process of chasing and achieving greatness looks like. Make sure you like, share, subscribe across all your social media platforms, especially here at YouTube. More importantly, share this podcast with other visionaries just like you. Now, our guest this week is no stranger to the show. Not only does she have one of the most downloaded episodes of all time for the show, but she's someone that I have the utmost amount of respect for. Not only is she one of the most responsible and respected voices in her industry, but she's been recognized and awarded by Yahoo Finance, Financial Advisor magazine. She's all over the internet blazing trails, and that list of accolades goes on and on and on because she's actively changing lives and helping women set themselves up for a better financial future. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a speaker, a teacher, a certified CEO, the beautiful Miss Tremaine Wills. Welcome to the show.
Listen, you need to introduce me everywhere because I feel like a rock star. That was great.
Man,
thank you so much.
I have to get it right. I feel like if I bring you on, that I can't just do the normal welcome to the show. How are you doing? I can't do that with you. Like we just say, like you got the eyebrows out, earrings. Like if y'all not
eyebrows is eyebrowing.
They eyebrowing. Whoever did those was surgical.
Oh, thank you.
Now, if you guys are not watching this on YouTube, you cheat yourself. I'm just gonna say that out front. That being said, I wanna jump right in because we talked about this being like a recession strategy episode, right? Mm-hmm. And so we've all seen the Dow, the NASDAQ, all of those have dropped tremendously over the last 90 days. I think I saw that they've had their worst 6-month start for a year since like 1970. And everyone's talking about a recession coming. How do we prepare if we haven't already?
So first, I think the biggest thing is to come from a position of power, right? People throw around the word recession and immediately it incites fear. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is recessions are where millionaires are created, right? Let's go. So if I come from a place of power, it shifts my perspective and it helps me to think about, okay, how can I leverage this to do what millionaires and billionaires are going to be doing and not think about it from a place of fear? Because once I put myself in a posture of fear, I close my mind to the possibility and now I'm in defense mode, right? Yeah. What can I do to not lose? When the strategy here is, what can I do to win?
I love
That's
that.
The very first thing.
Yeah, no, I love that because I was going to touch on that a little bit later. I don't know if I want to say I'm old enough. I'm fortunate enough to have lived through a recession before, right? And this time, I'm like, to your point, I'm like, come on, like, please bring this recession. And while I understand that, it will be, painful for some people to deal with. Some people will lose their jobs, unfortunately. Some people, if it does happen, some people will lose their jobs, they'll lose homes, all that stuff. But to your point, coming from a position of power, I'm saying, please, recession, do your thing, because I know exactly what to do now personally. Now, for those of us that are living through their first one, right, and those of us that are doing typically, fairly well financially, what should they be looking for to position themselves and make those incremental gains like, the millionaires and billionaires do?
Yeah. So the first thing is to take stock of where you are, right? You have to have a clear understanding of what's the starting point. What is my net worth? What assets do I have? Where am I trying to end up when we come out on the other side of this? There has to be a goal, a vision that we are chasing in the midst of this. Otherwise, we're going to be squandering and floundering like everybody else. And now's not the time to not have a plan, right? If your intention is to be successful through this, you must decide, okay, this is where I'm trying to go at the end of these next 5 years, and identify what's going to signal a win, right? So that way you can build the plan to create that win that we're trying to go after. So net worth, how many assets do I have? What liabilities do I have? The next thing I want to identify of the assets that I have, how can I put them to work, right? So if I have cash, okay, I can do some things, right? Now is a great time to have cash.
Yes.
Great time to be able to, buy some of those properties that are going to be turned loose, or invest
She
more.
said turn loose.
Right? So identify, okay, do I have cash? Do I have income producing assets, right? And how can I turn them into more income, right? So taking stock of the assets that I have, and then ultimately, where am I trying to get? What is going to let me know that this 5 years was a win? Where am I trying to land?
So that leads me to my next question kind of perfectly, because I feel like there's more access to investing than there is education about investing. We have apps all over the place, right? Robinhood, Webull, Public, and more. Is it dangerous to have so much access without the education?
Yes, 100% dangerous. And the reason for this is because the regular, or the typical retail investor, and that's anybody who's not classified as institutional, right? You have the everyday folks that are using the apps, the Robinhood, the Weebulls, right? And then you got the folks who are licensed investment advisors that own firms like me, that got a little bit more sophisticated strategy, more access to information. 80 to 85% of the time, retail investors lose. So yes, you can have all the apps on your phone, but if you're making moves based off what your timeline is saying, you lost. The play was already made. And so now you holding the bag, like many people saw many times during the recession, right?
Yes.
And we done already ran off. So the thing is, yes, you can have all the accounts that you want, but if you don't have an appropriate strategy in place and know what you're doing makes sense for your goals and your objectives, I don't care how many apps you have, how many Robinhood strategies you employ that you saw your TikTok and
how many chats? Yes.
Like, because at the end of the day, that lack of true education, that lack of real information on how to achieve that goal, it's going to be energy wasted and time and money wasted.
So let's talk about that statement that you made. You said the play has already been made and we done already ran off with the money. And so a mentor of mine a long time ago, I told you about the house story. It was tragic. But one of the things that he told me, he said that when the media starts talking about something and all you hear is bad news, they're driving the price down so that they can step in. Talk to me about that. I don't want to give away the play because I'm not certified.
So. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's understanding how fear works, right? A lot of money and building wealth is psychological and understanding behavior of consumers. And if I know what people and how people are going to react, I can capitalize on that. And that's a lot of the media does, right? We incite fear all the time, right? It's not just with the financial markets and the information that you are delivered and how it's delivered to you, right? The whole pandemic, right? We was scared to death. Well, not we, because I ain't scared, but it pushes you to have an emotional reaction and to react in a way where you come from a position of fear. When you're fearful, you're not in power. And so the constantly releasing negative information makes people afraid. So either it takes you out of where you go into action and you're like, oh, this is a good idea, or it causes you to change your mind and to doubt that you should take action because, well, the media says.
Right.
When my objective was to talk you out of it so that I could increase my gain.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's funny that you say that because I watch all the, again, we're all subject to a little bit of the timeline nonsense. And one of the things that's hilarious to me is you watch all these people that are experts on Bitcoin and crypto when it's up, right? When it's
okay,
up,
but what about right now?
Yeah, right. And I'm telling you, the pages are gone. Even the bots have left the building, right? They ain't talking about crypto nowhere. But if you watch it and if you have information, right, and I'm not advocating for one strategy versus the other, but if you watch it, you know that every few years it goes, the available goes in half, the price drops, and this is when you should be aggressive, right? My mentor told me again, when everybody gets nervous, go eat, right? And you have to position yourself. So let's talk about the average retail investor, right? All they have is their 401k. We maybe taught them about the Roth IRA by now. Talk to me about mutual funds, ETFs, what these things are and how they can position themselves to hopefully survive and thrive if the recession actually hits.
Yes.
Which it technically we already in because the numbers say so, but.
Right. So here's the thing. All of the products and vehicles don't matter if there's no plan, right? I can tell you what all of these things are, but if it is not in alignment with where you're trying to go, it does not matter to you anyway. So the very first thing I'm going to say is you must have a financial strategy, a plan that you are following to implement the tools and products into it, right? So that's how I'm going to preface this.
Got it.
Now, a mutual fund, an ETF, stocks, bonds, all of these different things are securities or investments that I'm going to purchase inside of one of my accounts to achieve my goal. Now, where I purchase that thing depends on my strategy. If I'm in a place where I need to reduce my taxable, my tax liability, I'm going to put it in a place where it allows me to pay taxes on it later. So I might put that inside of my traditional 401k, a traditional IRA, right? And all of these things, your ability to use them also depends on tax brackets and all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So this is why having that plan in place is important, because it's going to let you know how you can leverage the different things, what lever I need to pull to make the most sense for me, right? Yeah. But to kind of break it down even further, a mutual fund is a bucket of lots of different companies. Why does this matter? For the retail average investor, I have no business buying individual stocks.
Preach.
Because I don't really know what that company is going to do. And if I'm not actively watching that company, what happens if it tanks and I don't sell out fast enough? Now I lose my money that's invested in that one company and potentially seriously impacting my capacity to replace whatever wealth I lost if I don't have the stomach to stay in it when it comes back up, right? Yeah. So a mutual fund helps mitigate that risk by getting me invested in hundreds of different companies. It can be across different sectors. It can be in different countries. There's so many different ways it can be packaged, but that's what a mutual fund does. It allows me to invest in multiple different companies all at once and taking away that risk of putting all my money into Enron.
She said Enron. And for additional clarity, guys, if you have a 401k at work, 9 times out of 10, that money is in a mutual fund.
Correct, right? So you're probably in some sort of target date fund where it's based on when you should retire, right? The further away you are from retirement, the more aggressive that target date fund is going to be. The closer you are to retirement, the more conservative, the more bonds it's going to have. Now, one thing to know about mutual funds is that they have higher fees than a ETF, which is an exchange traded fund, or the cost to purchase a security, right? So now lots of platforms, you can buy stocks for free, right? There's no commission on it. But when I purchase a mutual fund, there's a load. I pay a fee for mutual fund, and it is more expensive than if I were to buy an ETF. So yes, it's important to know what a mutual fund is. If I'm not buying a mutual fund inside of my 401k, where the options are limited typically to just mutual funds,
yes.
For me, I am not recommending that my clients buy mutual funds because I can create whatever's in that mutual fund inside of something else that doesn't cost you as much money, right? So that's just something that I say, because the cost associated with investing, if I'm paying, a 5% load on this investment, that's 5% of my profit.
Right.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I need all of my profit, right? So you want to pay attention to fees because they can eat away at how quickly your money compounds. That profit, if I wasn't paying that 5% and I was only paying 0.03%, right? That's 4.97% of profit that could have been compounded every single year, right? So may not sound like a lot, but over time, it adds up.
Oh, so, absolutely.
You want to be mindful, like, if mutual funds are the option that I have, how can I achieve the goal I want to reach as inexpensively as possible? So taking a look to see how much it costs, what those management fees are. Like if I leave an employer, and this is a big one, if I leave an employer and I'm paying a management fee. Sometimes the management fee is higher when I'm no longer employed there. So I need to roll that money over.
ASAP.
To move it, put it somewhere else. And your best bet is to move it. And if you're at a place where you've made a significant profit and it makes sense to sell it and put it into an ETF, these are more advanced strategies, but get that money out of there and put it in where it's not going to be as expensive to have the same exact investment.
You know, I have two questions because I'm watching you and I'm reflecting back to the interview that we had 2 years ago. And when I tell you the posture has changed, like there is this 10-foot tall bulletproof. I mean, it was there the first time, but this time, you know, along with the eyebrows, it's something different. So talk to me a little bit about the last time we spoke. It was about 2 years ago. What's changed in the business, the model, the growth?
Listen,
talk to me.
2 years ago, I was a baby in like running my own business. I think I might have been like just at 4 or 5 months as a registered investment advisor. So I've been in the finance industry for 10 years now. Running my own company, I had just officially launched March 4th of 2020. So around the time that we were talking, I was a baby. I was, you know, a newborn. But now I got hundreds of clients under my belt now, right? That I've served. And so the confidence is here is because I've walked people through this so many times now with my brand, with my company, with my name. And so it is a different posture. There is more confidence because I know what I'm talking about for real. This isn't something I've done under somebody else's big bank with a safety net. It's something I've done with my name. And, you know, if it don't work, that's my fault, right? So that's where their energy, that posture is coming from. And because I know what I'm doing helps women who look like me. So at the end of the day, when I'm sitting with clients, I see me and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna let you down.
It's time to eat.
It's time to eat.
Listen, because I can see it. I'm seeing it. I'm telling you guys, I know Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I know you guys are keeping this show lit and streaming, guys. But if you're not on YouTube watching this posture right now, I'm telling you, you're missing out. It's just phenomenal. It's powerful. It's giving me energy. Another thing that we see on social media, and I'm not going to stay too long on this, but I want to talk about it because I'm interested in the play, right? And so if you've had a 401k for any amount of time, let's say you've been on a job 5-6 years, you have a 401k, of course you can take loans out of it. Now, most people will do that to buy a home or whatever the case is. However, I saw, I can't remember who the gentleman was. I want to say it was, I'm not even going to say a name because I don't want to mess that up. But I saw a play where the gentleman said, take a certain amount of money out of your 401k, right? Assuming that you have it there, and put that money into a cash accumulating life insurance policy.
No.
And I told myself, before you do that, because I know how you get, right? You're like, Chuck, I can't help the people. Before you do that, the reason that it was interesting, right, is because there are only a handful of places where you can put money that the IRS can't touch, right? And so for that reason alone, I was interested in it. And so I said, I know that if anybody has the ulterior view that I have, the alternate view that I have, just in the possibility of the play, it's going to be Tremaine. So now, get on my head about it.
Okay, so immediately no, right? And let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Borrowing money from your 401k, there's a fee, right? There's an interest rate you pay. Now, when I put that into a life insurance policy, there's a fee, right? There's the cost of insurance, which means I have to even qualify for the insurance, right? So I'm paying for this cash value policy, which if they're selling it to you as an investment, chances are they're going to put you in something that is a index fund.
IUL, yep.
So now I'm borrowing money to take a loan from one place to put it into an insurance policy, which I have to qualify and pay for the insurance, to then put it inside of a life insurance policy to do the same thing I was doing inside my 401k.
Yes. So, and that's the part that has stopped a lot of people from, I think, pulling that trigger outside of not knowing that it's available, right? But devil's advocate, right? I can't count my 401k as income until I pull it out anyway. So let's say that you do that policy and now that accumulates for 10 years and now you have enough to put down on a rental property or something like that. And that money is no longer taxed. Is it worth the short-term fees for the long-term asset of buying a home or buying a rental property or something to that effect?
Let me take this back a layer.
Yes.
This strategy only makes sense when the total cost to implement it far exceeds the return that comes from it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's never about the product or whatever I use, right? I also have to understand who told me to employ this strategy and what is their motive.
Yes.
Oftentimes, and I have an insurance license and I sold insurance, so I know a lot of times people are saying, do cash value policies, infinite banking, because they make a lot of money. Like you get paid really, really good.
Yes.
Somebody sets up.
I too have that license. And yes.
Right. So you get paid really, really well when somebody puts this strategy in place. But for the average investor, it's not for you. It's not. Now, are there people that can do it? Yes. They making at least $1 million a year and they got a lot of cash available. They're going to employ this strategy with cash. They're not trying to.
I love it when you're trying to be politically correct.
They're going to employ this strategy with money that's not inside their 401k that's costing them to use, right?
Yes.
So strategies make sense for different segments of people, but for the average retail investor that is not netting, $750,000, $1 million a year, this is not a strategy for you, right? You have to be cognizant enough to know why somebody's telling you something and how they benefit from that.
Yeah. And again, I think that, and that's why I wanted to have that conversation with you, because I think there's a certain amount of self-awareness that people do not have when they hear about all of the different vehicles that are available, right? And again, if you're watching it on social media, 9 times out of 10, the person that's advocating for said play is because they're selling a course or because they're selling. Yes.
There's something to gain from it. Now, at the end of the day, do you need a wealth transfer to pass money on? Yes, absolutely. I do believe that everybody needs some sort of life insurance policy.
Yes.
Should it be whole life? Maybe not. Are there concerns that you're not going to qualify for an insurance policy later in your life? Then definitely you need permanent insurance. But if everybody don't need infinite banking, baby, you can't get your regular banking right. Like, no.
Listen. If y'all having arguments about McDonald's meals and who bringing what,
listen. Your attention is in the wrong place. Period.
Straight up.
I'm not on here to broadcast and tell people what to talk about, but there has to be a level of, like you said, self-awareness and understanding, like the conversations I'm having versus what I'm trying to do with my money, it ain't in alignment. And no.
So immediate no. Let's go back to our target, right? We want to talk to the new young couple. We want to talk to the single mom, raising the kids. What are a couple of ways that person can use their money to make more money, right? And not necessarily short term. I think too many people are chasing the short term play. To like you teach your clients, what are 2 ways they can use their money to make money long term?
Yeah, you got to buy cash producing assets, period. Ownership is the way to wealth, right? Yes. There's just different vehicles that you use, right? So some people are like, oh, I want to have all the businesses, right? Great. Businesses are generating income and you use that income to buy more assets, right? That's one way to do it. Own a business. Invest in people who own a business. That's what buying stocks are, right? Yes. Buying ETFs, mutual funds. You're investing in people who are running a business. You're giving them money. They're giving you returns, right? Yes. Or you can own the assets yourself, right? That's purchasing the vending machines, and the vending machines generate money. That's getting into the trucking business. You got trucks, the loads bring. Yes. If you ain't thought about trucking, logistics is the number 1 industry in the world.
Real quick, see the episode with Maddie Daddy Time that we had on trucking, because
okay, trucking, do it, right? So Or even like on a smaller scale, Turo. I know there's a lot of backlash about Airbnb in Atlanta, like you can only have two.
Yes.
Having rental properties, all of these are assets that produce more assets. That is the name of the game. Now, the way you make it happen, it depends on your time, how much capital you have, how involved you want to be. But at the end of the day, your income's job is to go out and make you more money.
Yeah.
Period.
You know that
you're gonna win.
Yeah, and I like that you ended it that way, because we have jobs, right? We have jobs, whether you own a business or not. You have a job that you go to, and your job is to make more money. And I think people forget that your money should have a job as well. And so you said something a while back, and it echoed what my mentor taught me. It echoed what my father taught me. And it said, it was paraphrasing, retirement is not an age, it's an ability. Talk to me about that and what that means for you and your clients.
Yeah. So especially now with us millennials, right? Don't work till 65. And I am with you.
Listen.
It's happening. If I gotta work till 65, listen, no.
Take
like I said,
now.
immediately no. Take me now, because I ain't, and I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love it. Like I could do this for a while, but that while is not gonna be 65. Right. But you have to define what you're chasing after, right? It does not have to be the nest egg that our parents and our parents were going after. Oh, I gotta get this X amount of dollars set aside. You can chase a cash flow number, right? How do I assets into a place where they're consistently bringing in however much money I need to retire? That's how a lot of people are leaving their jobs earlier, not because they have already saved $5 million, because they found assets that they are confident enough that these are in spaces where they're going to always be turning more money. Yeah. So getting to a place where your assets are cash flowing enough money to cover you, really, that's what that nest egg does, right? That $5 million, that $3 million, it gets me to a place where every month I'm making, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on dividends, so that it pays every month, or I can draw it down where it's not going to run out, right? It's essentially the same thing. I'm just pulling that reality to now. I'm not 65. That's how you do that with cash flow and assets. So for the people who are thinking about like, okay, well, how can I escape? How can I buy my time back? You got to get assets that pay for that time. How much is a month worth? And
say that one more time. How much is your month worth?
How much is your month worth? And get to that number.
I love that. I don't think anybody's ever put it to me. We've heard how much is your time worth, but how much is your month first? Because for the longest, we would hear, or at least I would, in the industries that I've been in, you would hear that there's always more month than money, right? And so to phrase it that way, with how much is your month worth, I think I might run with that one. I may have to send you a little fee for that one. I like that. I like that. Let me ask you this. Is there because again, self-awareness, right? To know where you are. What books are available for people to start understanding what wealth and what, just a mindset shift would look like? I love The Millionaire Next Door, of course, Why We Want You to Be Rich with Orange Dude and Robert Kiyosaki. Like, there's so many books, but what would you suggest somebody that's like, you know what, I need to change my life? It's the altar call and I'm going to Tremaine. What should they do?
Listen, because I'm all about women who look like me. My answer is We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. It gives you mindset shift tips and steps you can take right now. So like, of course, I'm going to tell y'all go buy the book, but something you can take away right now is start to think about how you're going to buy your time back. Especially for Black women, we tend to think we must do everything. We have to be superheroes. Oh, I got to cook. I got to clean. I got to do the laundry. I got to do grocery shopping. And all of those are low value tasks that we can pay somebody else to do to buy our time back to go make more money, right? To spend it doing things we actually enjoy. Let me tell you, I used to cook. I don't cook. I'm not cooking. And people can say whatever they want, but I'm not cooking. I ain't buying no more groceries. The money that I can make spending, like the time that I was spending grocery shopping and cooking, the money that I can make in that time, what? Oh, tripping. I'm not doing it. So when you start to look at the activities that people told you had to do as jobs that you can pay somebody else to do to buy your time back, it really changes how you look at stuff. If you want to become wealthier, you have to do things that wealthier people are doing. And I promise you,
Yes.
you're not trying to do everything, just like the CEO in a job. So for folks who own businesses, you should not be doing everything in your business.
Yes.
You should be focusing on the things that you are great at and outsourcing the rest. And honestly, that probably is the thing that took my business to the next level, was hiring for jobs that I should not be doing.
Because the last time we talked, you said, ooh, I'm so glad you said that. You said, Chuck, you know what's holding me back is I don't trust nobody. I'd be ready to hire somebody, and then I'd be like, nope, I can't do it. I can't let it go. So talk to me about this growth that Miss Tremaine
Yes,
Wills
listen,
found.
This is my therapist, okay? This is 1 o'clock on Mondays. Every week, unlearning, because you don't realize how much mistrust and just things you hold, different trauma impacts your ability to grow and to become a different person, right? And like out 2 years ago, it was in me, but I was not this person, okay? And now I know that the business is gonna grow. And even if I make a catastrophic decision with hiring and they tank this brand, it don't matter, because my character, I am who I am, and I can go build something else.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, I think that's what the shift was. It was therapy and hiring other people to do stuff that I shouldn't have been doing, so that I can focus on changing these women's lives.
Listen, I love it. One of the other things that has stood out to me and that I've advocated for, is one of the clips that I've circulated the most, is that you said a lot of people are responsible with their money, you know, because we hear people are irresponsible. We hear, you know, Chuck, you spending too much money on your coffee. We hear just the habits, right? Whether it's hair or gym memberships or gym clothes, all those things. No comment. But we hear that people are stop. That we okay. So
I'm still bad with that, but that's okay.
That's hilarious. Yeah, me too. That people are responsible with their money, they just don't make enough, right? And so I know that's another conversation, right? Because you have to put yourself in a position to make more money. You have to tell your job, listen, if you ain't gonna pay me, such and such across the street will, right? But talk to me about how that stays a perpetual issue in our community, like for the women that you serve and that you help. That mindset of, I can't leave this job, a recession's coming, you know what I mean? I got to stay where I am.
It's confidence. At the end of the day, nobody is going to value someone who doesn't value themselves. So we have been consistently beat down by the media, and we beat each other up. And I think it's because we've been conditioned to beat each other up. And so you don't value yourself. So you don't believe that somebody's going to pay you what you're worth. So like another thing that's changed, we talk, my prices went up. Like, let's go. I know what I do works. I'm not fighting to prove to get anybody's business now. Like, if I have to prove it to you, you are not my people. And that level of confidence, it just allows me to operate better, because now I'm not proving my worth to you. You see that I'm worth it, and you're willing to make the investment. And that's the confidence we need in our community when an employer doesn't pay us what we're worth. You need to see that in yourself to know that if I take myself somewhere else, somebody's going to see this and they're going to pay for it because I know I'm worth it. That energy is different. It allows you to move in confidence, and that reflection, it should show up in your finances. But when you don't have it, it can't show up in your finances.
When I was a recruiter, I would tell people all the time, when I was a corporate recruiter, your resume needs to be just like your dating profile pic, right? You need to have that resume. It should not be that I'm going to get ice cream at 2 a.m, you know, with the headscarf on. Your resume should be the picture in the black dress turned to the side because you out with your girls, right? So that and the reason that I used to say that is because it used to paint a picture for a lot of people that, oh, this is what's going to make them say yes, right? And so to your point, that confidence of, making it say yes, making them say yes, make them click on me. And then that interview is just the first date. So I would try to do my best to remove the hurdles of the mindset of, searching for a job, because at the end of the day, jobs are just like, finding a spouse. It's enough of them out there. And you're gonna find the one that loves you and is gonna pick you up and do all the things. And so to your point, I think that confidence is absolutely paramount. Um, and the the therapy side is huge. The therapy side is huge, and obviously some can afford various kinds of therapy, some can't. But I want to circle back and talk about the stock market, because we talked about the media, right? And I'm a fan of waking up and looking at my money. But I am. It's a thing. I wake up, I check the trap, right? Like, I got to make sure that the money is moneying, or that I have a play ready. But I have a question for the people that are starting to get into space. Do you recommend watching the market?
No.
Just to know like where
No.
your plan should
No.
be? Okay.
No, because most people, they need to have long-term strategy and invest in good things. So anybody who's watching daily, they're exhibiting characteristics of a day trader, where you're trying to look for a reason to buy or make a move, and you're very, very in tune with particular information. And that's different, right?
Yes.
There's space for that. But for the average person, that's not your lane. Your lane is identify my overall objective, have the stomach to ride the roller coaster, because like they say, it's going to get worse before it gets better, right? Yeah. Like commit to the vision. So, and I'm going to give y'all this for free. Okay.
Let's go.
We're just getting started. A great thing to invest in right now are defensive stocks. These are things that are not incredibly impacted by the market. It don't matter what the economy is doing. These are going to perform. So examples of defensive stocks. And when your portfolio looks better in 5 years, I need you to come comment and tell me thank you. Okay.
Let's go.
But consumer staples. So what are things that people got to buy anyway? They still got to buy food. You still got to get this laundry detergent. I'm not buying it because I ain't washing clothes, but those kind of things, you still have to have those consumer staples. It don't matter what the economy's doing. We still got to eat, right? You still got to get that rice, right? And then the healthcare industry. It don't matter in the economy. People still got to go to the doctor. Yes. Okay. So think about the approach in that manner and stop looking for the quick wins. Like everybody knows how to invest when the market is up. That's easy. But when it's down, you have to be strategic about putting your money where money is going to be made regardless. And like being confident to know that no matter what, it's going to make money. Other things to consider is like, if you have a longer time horizon, pay attention to where everything's going. Where is spending being directed, right?
Metaverse.
Where is the spending being directed? Because as you start to see that, like, people don't just throw money at nothing, just because, right? So yeah, it's really just about paying attention. Because at the end of the day, you can be distracted, or you can get active. And you can't just sit back and do nothing, right? And be scared. That's why when I started this, it's about being in a position of power and having a plan to activate that power.
Listen, my daddy taught me a while back, ex-military. He said the first investment rule he ever gave me, pay attention to who's in office, right? And I don't think enough people, take it for what it's worth. Again, I am not the professional here. I just happen to know, world famous people like yourself. But, you pay attention to who's in office, because certain industries thrive when one's in the office. So, let's throw this out there again. I am not giving you advice, but if the red team happens to win the election coming up, you might want to look at defense stocks. You might want to look at, oil.
And that's defense, not defensive. There's a difference.
Correct. So you're looking at, let's be clear, military, things like that, right?
Who got contracts with the military? That's how you need to look, okay? So
listen,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So my question about that is, with the landscape of politics being what it is, do you think that a beginner should worry themselves with that strategy?
I love that's a more advanced strategy. If you're a beginner, your strategy is, okay, what's defensive? Let me start there, because that's something you can set and forget, right? Defensive stuff is going to grow. It don't matter who in office. It don't matter. It just don't matter. Now, as you get comfortable with that, then you can start to take it to the next level and pay attention to some of those other factors. And the words are escaping me, but there's so many different type of external forces that contribute to the price of a stock, right? And political landscape is one of those things. But as somebody coming in, you going in to do research on what companies were thriving under which office, that's advanced. So the foundation in place first, and then you can take that next step to start looking at some of these other technical analysis.
The other thing that I don't think enough people do with their 401ks, because again, we're trying to help the people. We're still trying to help the people. The other thing that I don't think enough people do is take the time to call and speak with the advisor that has their 401k. Talk to me about why we don't leverage the tools that are at our fingertips.
They don't tell us to, right? So when we get onboarded with our company, they're like, hey, you got this 401k, put some money in it.
Right. And we'll match it.
And I haven't been employed by somebody else in a while, so I really don't know what the conversation is like, but I imagine that.
Subtle brag. Right? I love
it. But we are not told why it is important and how much it's important. This is not like 30 years ago where you work at a company and you're going to get a pension. Baby, if you don't participate and take hold of that 401k, your retirement is going to look crazy. It's going to look like Walmart greeter, and we not with that, right? So one is knowing, okay, yes, I have this 401k. Let me get on the phone with these people and find out what this even is. Like, what's the match? How much should I put in here? How should I be invested? Like, do I have to put it in this target date fund? Why they still got me in this bond fund? Like, why, for people TSP, why I'm still in the G fund? And making sure that it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. It's not enough to just put the money in the account, right? Inside of the 401k, there's investments in there. That's what makes you the money. It's not just putting it in the account. It's putting it in the investment inside the account. So you got to call these people and really follow up, because at the end of the day, your company is using that
money. Yes.
Yes. Right. It's a way for them to write off. They don't care what you do with it. Oh, we got this match, great for us and our bottom line. If you don't figure it out,
because I think people don't realize they'll give you $300,000 after 30 years if they can make $300 million.
Because your labor,
right?
Okay, yeah. 401k plans are a retention strategy and a tax benefit for employers.
That's a bar right there. We are getting close to time. As you know, I would never not respect your time. And typically we would do this rapid fire round, right? But because you're a returning veteran, one of the OG greatest to ever touch the show.
Yes, gas, I received.
I want to run it a little different. This time we're not going to do like the word association rapid, right? We're going to do a slower rapid because you have too much posture, too much game for the people. So I don't want to do rapid fire. I'm going to ask you a few questions and you give me 1 to 2 minutes on these questions. The first question being, if I have $500 free a month, I should be doing X.
Let me just say, all my answers are going to be, it depends. Okay. So free to me means, this is after I cover all of my household expenses, my day-to-day, right?
Correct.
First things first, you need to put money in your emergency fund. Okay. So that's first, right? I need to have at least 3 months liquid. Depending on, how you feel about getting it out the mud. If you can go make cash, maybe more if that makes you scared, right?
Yes.
After that, then I am paying down high interest debt. So anything that's double digits.
Okay.
Get rid of that, right?
We're talking APR at this point.
Yes. So my unsecured debt, my car loan from when I was 19, because I didn't have a lot of credit. So they gave me 16% interest. Pay that off,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
After that, you need to be aggressively investing. So yeah.
So that's what okay. Second question that I have. Why? No, I'm not even gonna do that one. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay. You mentioned getting the emergency fund first and then invest. Flip it. If I have been at my job for 4 years, I have a nice 401k. I want to buy my first home. Do I take money out of my 401k to do so?
Do you have an IRA?
Let's say no, because I have not been advised of what an IRA is.
That's a good question.
Look, I'm still pretty good at this, Tremaine, now.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Because you lose the compounding interest on the money you take out of the 401k.
Okay.
And your home is not an investment.
Say that again.
So
your home is not an investment. Why?
Your home is not an investment. Your primary home that you live in, that's not an investment. You're not getting a return on that. You're getting housing, and that's a necessity.
Okay.
Right.
But some people will argue and say, but I'm getting equity.
Equity is not an investment.
Equity is subjective. Okay.
What you can do with the equity,
you could invest. Yes.
But equity itself does not generate a return. So that's not an investment.
Until you exercise it.
Exactly.
Okay. So similar to knowledge is not power, implementation of
correct.
Knowledge. Yes. Okay. I like it. I like it. Next question. Annual girls trip or forego that to start my investment portfolio? And you know who we talking
values.
about.
This is a measure of values because I tell my clients not to cut out things that bring them joy because, and this is my consulting strategy. I don't believe in being miserable just to have a particular bank account balance. That is not my definition of wealth.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to tell my clients, if it is more important to you to spend time with people that you love in a place that brings you joy, then maybe you don't put as much money into your investment account.
Yeah.
Right? But should you do something? Yeah, even if it's only $50. You should be investing, but to completely be miserable for the sake of just becoming wealthy, no. I disagree.
Finish this sentence for me. I should not have listened to blank when they told me blank.
Oh, I shouldn't have listened to nobody. They told me I wasn't gonna be nothing. Listen, okay. I have started calling myself Tremaine the Great because I am. And the more that I say it, the more I believe it, the more I walk in that posture. And now I know I can do anything, right?
Yeah.
And so many of us are believing lies. I listened to Myron Golden last weekend, and he told us, we tell ourselves lies every day.
Facts.
It's just which lie you're going to believe. And so for me, if I have to believe a lie, it's the lie that I am the greatest. I am the best. And I'm going to start operating like that. I am operating like that instead of, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't get that job. Oh, I can't invest. Like, I ain't believing that lie. No.
Right.
So if I'm going to believe a lie, it's one that empowers me and takes me to the next best version of myself. So anybody that got anything to say, I don't care. I don't hear you.
I love it. I love it. And we can tell that the positive self-talk again is working. You show up different, right? The eyes glow different. You know what I mean? The posture's different. You sit up a little straighter, a little bit more bass in your voice, not yours, but you know what I mean? that would be alarming.
It's in mine too. That's okay.
Finish this one for me. In 5 years, Tremaine the Great will be
retired, okay? Or
up.
retirement eligible. Because I do love the work that I do. And it may just be, you know, me putting somebody else into this CEO role, but hey, I'm out of here.
She said, I'm out of here. Do you have a dream number? Revenue, income?
I don't have a dream revenue number. I have a dream legacy number. So one of the things I tell myself is I am a multi-billionaire. Meaning that the assets that I have accumulated are at least 2 billion. Because I want to pass on wealth. Like I feel like this work would be in vain if I made everybody else rich and didn't leave that legacy for my family. So
listen, see, that's why we rock together. Do you know, literally 2 weeks ago, my favorite, well, I won't say my favorite Bible verse, but the Bible verse that sits with me the most, Proverbs 13:22, a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. I literally just got that tattoo. And so I think that's one of the reasons that no matter how much time passes, you and I will always have a good conversation because we got the same thing in play. Let me ask you this. Do you lose friends when the posture changes?
yes.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
It was a rough transition. Like the circle that I was in 2 years ago and the circle I'm in now is completely different. Like there's a couple people that overlap, but for the most part, I ain't in the same places. I ain't with the same faces. And I am okay with that because the faces I'm with now allow me to be the best version of myself and promote that. They're like, yeah, go be great. Like be all of that you are and don't hold back. And so I think when you have that space to be completely authentic and you ain't got to pretend, what? Nobody can do you like you do you. And when you have that space to do you, nah. Yeah. So yeah, I lost some friends over the past 2 years.
Okay.
And it stung. I'm not gonna lie. Like y'all will never see me cry, but I cried.
She said, trust that I did.
I did. And it hurt, but I knew it was necessary. It was necessary. And that's not to say that I'm any better than anybody else. It's just I had to become a different person. And it required me to move different.
What spending habits have or have not changed over those last 2 years? Because we used to talk about
the wigs are gone. I'm back on my natural.
Yes.
Wigs are gone. But to still buying workout clothes,
Are you at least working out with him?
I am. And that was one of the things that really helped solidify this new version because I put on quite a bit of weight. Like when you start making more money and you're not cooking and the food is fooding, you put on them pounds. I was like, oh, wait a minute, let me get back in this gym. But really getting back to working out regularly and that routine, that discipline, that every day is the same but different. If that makes like I know what tomorrow is going to be. It's going to be that morning routine. Then I'm going to do it, and then I got my night in cap. But yeah.
I love it. One of the things that you told me, you said when you hit a certain dollar amount, that my coffee would change. And we were talking about spending habits. So that's why I asked that question. And your boy just got back from Hawaii. And let me tell you, I found some exclusive Kona Blue Mountain blend. And when I'm because I know you don't hear it enough. Tremaine, you were right. Listen, you were so right that I told him, I don't care what the shipping costs. Send this and send it every month because this shit was great. It changed my entire 3 sips in, and it did what the 3 cups of coffee that I've been drinking every day. 3 sips in, it did it. I was ready, and I was in Hawaii, so I didn't even have to use the energy. So talk to me about just the situations that personal growth can put you
in. It stretches you for sure. So I'm spending money differently now, right? It's all a matter of how is this going to push me to the next level? Like I just joined a mastermind that cost more than I made my first year. But you got to be in the room to copy what people are doing that works, right? And so like just that level of investment and belief that it costs this, but I'm gonna get it back, right? Is that different kind of spending where it's not so much material. I'm paying a lot of money now for what's going on in my head.
Listen, that is one of the biggest battles that we ever face is the conversation going on between the 6 inches right here. And I love that you put it that way. The money that I'm spending now is for what's going on in my head. That makes me think about. Have you seen Hamilton yet?
Yes.
The play. Okay, so I'm a music geek, like an absolute music geek. So musicals, if they're good, literally will turn me out. And nobody understood why I was so hyped about that song. I want to be in the room where it happens.
Yes.
And that right there that you just said made me think about that, because I have always, the meeting after the meeting, the room where, the top producers go off and talk, and you think they just go in to talk because they make a certain, it was business ideas, and those are implementation and resources. And I would give everything to understand that. I understood it pretty early, late 20s, but I would give everything to have understood it when they were trying to present it to me and my team. The first time you were in that room, how did it feel?
I just started seeing myself like at that level. I was like, yo, like you said, I wish I would have believed this years ago. And I've always known that exposure is important. Yeah. My first job, I worked at NASA, and that is very atypical for a 16-year-old, right?
Absolutely. 16-year-old black girl like that.
Right. So I've always known exposure matters. Yeah. But this level of seeing people making 8 figures a year, yeah, I'm like, legally? So
let's get that out of the way, right? Like,
yeah. So that was, it was great. That's when the vision was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not making this up. This is possible, and I'm gonna do it. They did it. Oh, I'm doing this.
Look, because I'm not going to jail when I do it. So I will. I love how authentic you have always been, and I thank you for that. The last question that I will ask you is, because it's 2 years later, because it's so many commas later, so many clients later, what does the word vision mean to Tremaine Wills?
Ooh. That's deep. You should have sent this one beforehand so I could think.
That is so funny. That is, we don't send questions before.
I know. It's all off the dome. But vision for me really is belief. I think that really encompasses what it is. It's like, do you have enough belief to go after what you see, and I think many of us, because we don't believe in ourselves enough, we don't see anything. So you can't move if you don't know where you're going, right? So I think for me, that's what vision means most. It's that belief.
So when you're sitting across from a new client, whether it's virtual or in person, is it hard to, because most people only believe at the level that they can see, right? And so when you're sitting across from a new client, virtually or in person, how hard is it to transfer your belief into them?
Initially, I'm not transferring belief. I'm asking questions in the beginning. I'm identifying where exactly they are, right? Because I don't like to transplant like what I think things should be, because just because I see something doesn't mean that's what they want. So I'm asking questions to like figure out where they are. And if they're at a place where I'm like, okay, I can stretch their belief because they believe something, then but I'm not saying, oh, I think this, I think that. I'm like, what do you want? That's the most important reason why you're here. Because if you don't want it, it doesn't matter what I plan. Yeah. Do it.
I'm so glad we did this. Let the people know where they can find you. Let the people know. Well, lastly, we always do what's next for Tremaine Wills, because we might have to do another 2-year check-in if my people can even get in touch with your people by then.
Listen, I just hired a PR person, so
so I'm on notice, right?
But so, and this is one of the things I had to revisit. Like every morning, I have this new thing I added. I'm asking, what are we doing? Where are we going? And why? Right. And so what we're doing, Mind Over Money, we're building a social enterprise to close the wealth gap. Our mission is to have 1 million people, 1 million households that we're touching. And why are we doing it? Because it takes wealth to change a community. Yeah. So 2 years from now, there should be at least a comma in the number of clients that we've served, and we should be closer to that vision of using wealth to change communities.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the posture is going to look like by then. I mean, the eyebrows it now. In 2 years, I'm trying to see. We might have to do this one from a helicopter in 2 years. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, you have been rocking with the great one, Miss Tremaine Wills of MindOverMoney.net, and yours truly, Chuck Hawkins, here at the Hawk Vision Podcast. We've been talking about recession prep strategies to save your money and invest more, personal growth, and so much more. I hope this interview was informative. I hope we added a smile to your day, but more importantly, we hope we helped you shorten the learning curve on your way to greatness. Buy your boy some coffee. I know we talked about the kawaii thing, but I'm out right now. That's unacceptable. Like, share, and subscribe across all your platforms. Send in your messages and your guest suggestions. Cannot continue to grow this show without you guys, my visionaries. So appreciative that you gave us your time today. You know how it goes. There's absolutely no miracle that will ever happen without someone doing something. And we'll either see you at the top or from the top. Tremaine, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
Always, always.